Okay, we talked a little. I mean, I listened to PM's question time about an hour or so ago, and you're right. He was absolutely deflecting every time he was asked sort of a serious question. He said, "But there's a war going on in Ukraine, and we need to help the Ukraine." He just kind of deflected the answers, or tried to answer it in a different way. I mean, with the UK being under, well, not just the UK, most of the world under so much sort of the cost of living on the rise, economic stress, people going on strike in England and everywhere actually. I mean, is this a time, do you think, that perhaps he's losing the confidence of the people? Could we be seeing a different or an early election here?
Well, there was a snap opinion poll last night after the dramatic resignations of those two senior ministers. And if my memory serves correctly, 54% of people who voted for the Conservatives, for Boris Johnson at the last election, said they would not vote for the party if Mr. Johnson was to remain Prime Minister. That's a very high number. And he won the last election with a very, very big swing to the Conservative Party against a very radical opposition candidate, leader Jeremy Corbyn. Now the Labour Party has a much more moderate leader who has replaced Mr. Corbyn, Keir Starmer, who doesn't pose the same kind of, how can I put it, socialistic threat that many thought Mr. Corbyn posed. So many people, many voters may not back the Conservatives. However, I'm always a little bit reluctant to believe what all the official pundits and polls and the media tell us. If you look at, for example, America again, Donald Trump has been very unpopular ever since he first stood for election in 2016, 2015, in fact. He's been very unpopular with the political elites, with the journalists, including Republican Party supporting journalists, with the pundits and experts that say he couldn't win. And he beat 18 other Republican presidential candidates. And then he beat Hillary Clinton, one of the most, she's from a political dynasty with the Clintons. So, Boris Johnson, he's not, I don't want to say he's similar to Trump in other ways, but he's similar in the sense that he wants to kind of override normal rules of politics, and sort of just test it out and never give in. And may I remind you that Mr. Trump also didn't want to easily concede the results of the 2020 election, and he is rumoured to be now about to declare again to stand in the next election. So there's a certain kind of political personality that won't go easily. In fact, we spoke at the beginning of the Ukraine war 4 months ago, you and I, on this program, when a lot of experts were saying that Vladimir Putin would be out soon. And I said, no, he's not the kind to go easily. Why do they think he's about to be forced out or resign? And I still think that Putin is likely to stay. So in the same way, just because a lot of experts say that Boris Johnson is living on borrowed time and it could be any day and he's going to be forced out, I'm not sure. I mean, I know Boris Johnson. I worked with him at the Daily Telegraph when he was a journalist, and I know him through my family as well, ever since I'm a teenager. And he's always wanted to be, as he called it, world king. That was the phrase he used. Interestingly, he should call himself a king rather than a prime minister, because in a way, that's, maybe he doesn't really care about the party. The Conservative Party, a bit like Brexit, was just a vehicle for him to come to power, and he cares about his own power because he thinks he has some kind of Churchillian, attributes that only he can offer the people of Britain and making Britain great again after Brexit. And he's buoyed on by people like President Zelensky of Ukraine, who says he's the favorite, most popular foreign leader in Ukraine. And maybe he'll have a street named after him in Kiev or something. But I don't know. There's nobody else with such a strong personality in Britain. So it's a question of whether the public prefer a really strong, larger-than-life, charismatic leader, even if that leader has been less than truthful and got involved in various scrapes and scandals, or whether they want one of the more solid politicians, of which there are several, who will be perfectly competent and have a more calm, competent government in this time of economic and other crisis.